So on reflection on why we all do it all and the meaning for anything, it's pretty simple. You know, the arguments we have, the dynamics we get into, the reason we all strive to be who we are meant to be and want to be, and you know, the kind of partnerships we have in our life, the kind of people we gravitate towards, and the reasons for our hardships and our worries and our challenges. It all boils down to the same reason. It's for love itself, you know. And regardless of whether you come to a point in age where, I don't know, you'd say you're near enough my age, and you've given up hope on the idea of love or love itself, or love looks a lot different to what it once did, and you may not find love in the things that you used to once upon a time, and you're trying to understand what it means for you now as the person you are after your experiences and your challenges and everything you work through or work towards and working for, things that you've lost for it and things that you do to gain it, and in every which way, shape or form, it all boils back down to the same thing, and that's love itself. And that's the grief of love. So and we all end up loving the grief of it too. So to love is to grieve it, you know. We all grieve for love once it's given to us as children, you know. And it probably stems back to, you know, the rule of abandonment for me, which is the main source of it all. And I really looked at this, you know, this topic, abandonment, for ages, and what it meant for me, and you know, and all the different aspects to it, you know. And I rattled it all the way back because I worked on it for years. It's something I couldn't figure out, even in a therapeutic setting where I was being, you know, guided through it for years, living in it, you know, trying to understand it. And that was through experiencing an understanding of all the aspects of my life, and then working backwards to the initial stages, which is always to childhood. And for all of us, for every single person, every one of us on the planet, we all start from the idea of the loving feeling as you do when you was a child, you know, the nurturing thing. Being loved and cared for, and or the idea of it itself, if you never had it as a child, and because a lot of you guys didn't, and you know, a lot of us did and didn't, whether it is whatever shape or form it came in, you know, we end up longing for that after, when it goes a bit missing in our life, you know, or when things take a toll, or we have to learn some experiences via other things we do as we grow up into adults, you know, and for me it was the loss of love, or the lack thereof, you know. And the lack thereof led me to make choices and make decisions in my life that led me down specific paths and put me in a position to have a specific kind of mindset to make certain choices in my life. And despite me may have been seeming and had made so many poor choices, though my circumstances themselves, and not to justify any patterns of negative behaviour, because they're inexcusable, though for me, I'd like to say that I'd been given a select few choices to choose one from, and I'd always choose one that was best for me and my circumstances to go with in order to me to have the best outcome. And it may not have seemed that way to others, though the choices I'd made previously led me to the paths I'd been on, to being in a position where I hadn't many choices and had to make poor ones. And as I rewrite it all back and go back to the initial point of it all, was that through the choices of trying to find love and feeling validated in that sense, from being a child and things missing. And it's the same for all of us. And just as we grow, and life be lifing, as we like to say, love changes in every way. And it gets to when you've had enough experience and heartache via trying to learn it through different circumstances, people, places and things. And you may not have found it completely yet, or feel that you have, though things are missing, or you're trying to understand it more yourself as you grow. And there are a lot of people that this doesn't apply to. You probably wouldn't be watching this video, by the way. You'd only be watching it through intrigue, or maybe share it with somebody who would like to hear it. But for many who would watch a video like this would understand that when you've had challenging aspects in your life and you've looked for love in all the wrong places, you know, pretty faces, not to quote Jaheim there, but we love you, bruv. Just wanted to plug him there, big fan. But yeah, for all the different places, the different pretty faces that you may seek love in, you know, the way you see it from the exterior may not always reflect on what it looks like on the interior. So therefore, the idea of it changes, you know, and it's not just people, but places and things. And as we get older, we find attraction, we find love in things that may not look so pretty on the exterior. You know, I don't know, like a weed in the concrete growing out of it. You know, the old saying, the rose in the concrete, or you know, the ugly duckling. Because despite being a child, you could look at a duckling and not know that it's going to grow into a, I don't know, like, let's just say, for example, look at a cygnet when it's born. It's grey, looks washed out, you know, and as a child walking past, has never understood that that's a cygnet is going to grow into a beautiful swan. Would never see the beauty in that until we're staring their face, and then also they're missing out on the growth of that, which would be the grieving of getting to experience the little things, just little changes in that cygnet to when it turns into a swan, you know, because it's the little things that make life. It's the journey itself, you know. And as a child, we get lost in our own journeys, and as adults, we do too. And we learn things along the way, and then we end up seeing the nicer parts in the ugly parts of the world. And I don't know, like a disabled dog, let's say, for example, or I don't know, one with 3 legs, one that's got a leg missing. And despite us all going, as children, we'll probably laugh at it and mock it for many reasons, and as an adult, you'd see the beauty in that dog still being here and having one leg missing and still going, and it's still itself despite being not as able. And you know, I'm just using it as a reference, for example, is that our eyes change, and so does our insight and the way we see beauty, you know, because beauty's in our eye of the beholder. As you get older, you get to know this, you know. And the idea of love gets lost along the way, especially what you used to see it as. So, long story short is that we all end up grieving for love. And it's through the grief of love itself, you know. And this applies to everything in life, really, for me. And I'm not the most studious on the topic of knowing the exact insight on the whole entire planet, but through my insight on what I've come to learn, and from the experiences I've seen others go through a process similar to this, and maybe not being able to speak it out and explain it the way I have, and I've shared it like this, you know. So all these different aspects of us as looking for love is all stem from the grief of love. So we grieve to be loved, we look for the validation and recognition, and we look to be filled emotionally, you know, satisfied in all these different aspects in life through the idea of love and loving things, materially, physically, internally, attraction-wise, and I don't know, sexually, all these different things. And then as we grow older and these things change and we lose things and we have our hearts broken, shall we say, because they're never broken, but we're let down in many aspects of trying to understand what love is meant to look like on the exterior, to what we find out what love really looks like is the not so externally pleasing factors. Because love isn't like something that you just love on fairy tales and big anime puppy eyes, you know. Love is going through challenges and experiencing others and experiencing things and losing sometimes, to gain the understanding and perspective of what love would feel like, and why we all love, you know. And it's a long old drawn out process, but the long and short story of it all is that we all grieve for love, and we all love to grieve. In the idea of love, itself. And it's not in a soppy way, you can see it in any which way. Romanticised way of thinking into anything. Apply it to all. Apply it to not only people, but places and things. When you think about it, we love to chase the things that we think are going to be great and what they look like externally, or what we believe they look like internally, in a perfect world and sense of how you like it to be. And the loss of it, on a lack thereof, leads us to be in a really tough position to look towards it. So any little aspects we get of it along the way, the little aspects, little benefits of love, or the love of something, is a process of grieving towards it, grieving what we think is we should be. So that was my little insight. And so we all grieve for love by loving to grieve. 11:11 on my timer. Yeah, so I think I'll leave it there, and I don't know what your thoughts are on that one, but yeah, drop a comment in the comment section, give me a like, give it a share and all that good stuff. And if you haven't, consider subscribing and listen to more insights of this soppy old man as he gets older. But no, it's important that we do understand these processes, and we take each other's insights, because we're all learning every day. I don't know everything, but when I do understand things, I like to share them with others so others can learn too. And the same way I'm gravitated towards others who teach me. It doesn't matter how old you are, what country you're from, what race, religion or anything, there's always something to learn from someone else, And don't shy away from that neither. Never be proud to learn something from another, and that's the importance of it all, Yeah. But thanks for being here. I'm Craig. This is Craig's Corner. And hopefully I'll see you soon again. Remember, this is a safe space. You're always welcome here. Come see me anytime you like, yeah?